After attacking the Nexus in Half-Life 2, you make your way through another underground highway and a couple more city streets before reaching the Citadel. This section is very different in the 2003 beta build. After fighting through some more city streets, you'd eventually make it to a park. We know this is supposed to be a park because that is the map name. Not much detail is known about what would be included in this park. But we do see that it had a bridge over it. And it was right along the City 17 river. As with the placeholder water in the river, placeholder ground texture for the park is metal. In the second map of Ravenholm in Half-Life 2, you can catch glimpses of a large dark building beyond this wooden metal barricade. If you go up to it using hammer or no-clip, it appears to be a large manor. This manor is never visited or even seen again during your time in the town. In fact, if you connect the Ravenholm levels together, this house sits roughly where this part of the town is. This house is a remnant of an old design idea for Ravenholm that originated sometime around the summer of 2002. The E3 2002 Ravenholm demo has parts of this area in the actual map, despite not being seen. Though the manor is nowhere to be seen, instead having a stone and wood wall in its place. An edit of the E3 map also exists that adds the first version of the barricade to the alley in front of the wall. It's instead first found from a different map near the same point in time, started after work on the E3 demo had been finished. Here it's a little more ostentatious, rising up significantly on a complex stone base. The design idea was that this was going to be the main thoroughfare to the church. As well, this map is more open, with Valve designing the whole town in a single space. By the August of 2002, this larger single map was split in two. The area immediately around the manor was closed off with a version of the barricade. A level transition was placed around here, still leading to the church. By the summer of 2003, the idea for this to be the main route to the church had been dropped entirely, with a good chunk of this space being completely blocked off and many brushes here being given no draw textures. Throughout your time in Ravenholm, you'll see a church.
Move on and I will meet you at the church.
As you're fleeing with Grigori near the end of your time in the town, you'll even physically pass near it. But if you look at the church in Hammer, you'll notice the skeleton of an interior, despite not being able to go in or even see into it. This is because Valve had ideas to include an interior at one point. This idea appears to be quite a brief one, as it originated and was never seen past 2002. Here's a map from the area focusing on the church, complete with an interior. Other maps from this time features Ravenholm being designed more openly and in one piece, showing the church in context with the rest of the town, and still having the interior. By 2003, the church was closed up. Though you can still see some remnant texturing inside. As you start running on the rooftops to get away from the Metro Police at the beginning of Half-Life 2, you will pass this bit of gray rooftop. This is a remnant of the original 2003 path to Kleiner's lab. Originally, the courtyard with the playground in the apartment building you enter in retail didn't exist. You're instead supposed to enter this building, go through an apartment stairwell that would inspire the ones we see later in retail, cross the sky bridge, then head to the roof of this building across the street. Once up there, you would see that bit of gray rooftop, which is revealed to be part of the train station. When the retail maps were created, the gray rooftop wasn't removed. It now sits over the courtyard and neighboring building, some distance away from where the station's roof actually is. Something noticeable only when merging these maps together. In the very last map of the Uprising in Half-Life 2, you'll come across these tram tracks in the street. This is the first and only time they are seen in the whole game. These tram tracks actually come from a map seen in the 2003 beta build. The tracks would have extended a further distance along a street with less debris. This beta build map in turn came from the E3 Striders demo seen at E3 2003, where the rebels would utilize a tram to move about. This tram would even drive down the tracks. That E3 map with the moving tram is in turn derived from this style guide on large streets for City 17. The tracks themselves appeared to originate from an early 2003 map focused on a single building. The tiny bit of street outside has some tracks. Tram tracks actually returned in Half-Life Alyx. In the first map of the game, you can spot them off to the right of the starting balcony, where a train will drive down them. There's also another set right in front of the Northern Star Hotel. In a couple of areas on the map, Mercenary Park and Team Fortress 2, you can spot a pod-based transit system. In Blue Spawn, the final Red Spawn, in one of the red resupply closets near B, you can see a map for this system, also revealing that these are stations. Blue Spawn is main ticketing, which aligns with it being the visitor center. Resupply closet is processing. And the final red spawn is research and captivity. At the resupply closet, on occasion you can see one of the pods driving by on its own. What's implied to be the same moving pod will quickly move past the final red spawn. Blue spawn, though, has a stopped pod you can see more details of if you no-clip near it. Inside, you can see that the dashboard has a couple of screens and buttons. There's a single driver's seat, and in the rear there is a bench seat for passengers. Based on the pod moving on its own, the driver isn't required for them to operate. Assault is a hostage map throughout the Counter-Strike series. But where is it set? We have an answer for that in one of the games. CSGO's Assault appears to be set in the Seattle area based on this road sign. Specifically the region east of Lake Washington, as that is where you can find not only the I-405, but also Redmond, Clyde Hill, and Overlake. This Seattle connection is aided by the presence of this elevated rail station, which would align with the real-life Link Light Rail operated by Sound Transit. It's even blue, like the real Line 2 in the system, which actually goes to Redmond and Overlake and roughly passes Clyde Hill. In an early test chamber in Portal 2, you have to fall into a pit to receive the first half of the portal gun. In this pit are several Ratman drawings. The ones along the walls are a retelling of the events surrounding Portal 1, as well as the events of Portal Lab Rat. This final wall mural would in fact become Lab Rat's cover. Above the portal gun is a diagram for the phases of the moon. This drawing is actually cut off in-game. Here's the full texture. This being about the moon foreshadows Cave Johnson's discussion of conversion gel.
The bean counters told me we literally could not afford to buy $7 worth of moon rocks, much less 70 million. Bought them anyway, ground them up, mixed them into a gel. And guess what? Ground up moon rocks are pure poison. I am deathly ill.
And the solution to defeating Wheatley later. Lab Rat actually shows us Doug Ratman painting the art in this room prior to all of these wall panels separating. Thanks to the final hours of Portal 2, we also know what this space looked like in development. At one point, it reused a lot of Portal 1's textures, and the Ratman art was much different, though the general layout of the space was very similar. As part of the marketing for Left 4 Dead 2, versions of the game's intro were turned into TV ads. Because they were intended to be on TV, they had to conform to certain censorship laws. Any scene with melee weapons or bullets hitting infected weren't used. Some of the shots used in these ads did have to be edited. So the final scene of the elevator doors, there is no blood. The zombies banging on the elevator windows in the background are also cleaned up. Instead of the HMG firing, the survivors are stanced up behind a wall of fire. Or this version of the scene where Ellis is grabbed by the charger, where it's only the charger. Or when Ellis kicks down the safe room door, the infected just in front of him is cleaned up and intact. Or this shot of the hazmat infected had a flaming common infected removed from it. There are other smaller changes too, between the intro and these ads. In the concert stage scene, Rochelle is standing beside Coach with a desert rifle, rather than Ellis. The scene with the spitter rising up is also wider angle than the one in the intro. TV Spot 3, though, goes beyond just scene changes. It includes actual extended footage from the intro. In the scene where Rochelle helps Nick up the roller coaster, there's a new reverse shot of Nick looking down at the clowns on fire. The entire final elevator sequence has several new shots before and after the elevator comes down to ground floor.